Serious, people who enter other people's homes as a part of your job, maintenance workers, etc. What's the weirdest thing you've seen inside someone's home? I do property maintenance. One guy has been having problems with his heater recently. The breakers are in the closet on the wall. I've gone in a few times and noticed this huge stack covered by a big blue blanket. The other day I got curious and took a peek. It was a huge collection of Playboy magazines. It wasn't just one stack either, there were 2 stacks. I'm basically 6 tall, these came up to my chin. I've seen all types of shitty and nasty apartments, but this had me chuckling all day. I used to work as a delivery driver in northern Illinois, and there were many times during the winter when I was asked to step in real quick while they looked for the coupon they used on an order or where they put the cash. I remember one time I came into this guy's home and the whole place reeked of weed. He's wearing a robe and has an unlit cigarette hanging from his mouth as he's looking through drawers trying to find the coupon. I take a quick look around and I see the source of the smell, a giant sack of weed on the counter and a digital scale next to it. Dude was clearly a dealer, but that wasn't what was weird. What was weird was that there was a used condom on the scale. I didn't see anyone else around, and the order didn't seem like for more than one person, so it basically looked like this guy was trying to weigh how much he was able to cum. I've done some pretty weird shit when stoned as well, so I chalked it up to that. I did kinda wish he tipped me in weed instead of cash, but then again maybe I didn't want anything that possibly was on that scale at some point. Attention. Serious, tag notice jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please, contact the moderators of this subreddit /message/compose/?2=r/askReddit, if you have any questions or concerns. Back in the 90s I had to install a new computer in the home of a very out and proud gay man who happened to be quite wealthy. The house was decorated very nicely, like lifestyles of the rich and famous, but the weird part was the dude had the brightest white carpet I'd ever seen. My brain stopped when I entered the house and all I could think of was how I was going to get around without stepping on the floor. That's the weirdest thing? A clean carpet? You ever work delivery? That's weirder than the wax pile. Not exactly weird but cool. Knocked on the door and didn't get a response. The door was unlocked, so I let myself in to find a 90-year-old woman in her dressing gown head banging to Led Zeppelin. Worked as a furniture delivery guy for a rent-to-own place in Iowa for a couple of years, and I saw some absolutely crazy shit. We were delivering a couch to someone, and when we arrived there was no answer to our knocking. We called our manager back at the store and explained that no one was home. He tells us to hang out for a minute while he tries getting in touch with the customer. While we're waiting we start hearing this weird sort of screeching sound coming from a detached garage. We decided to investigate the noise. We turned the corner to the front of the garage and came face to face with the meanest, scariest looking monkey I've ever seen. It was in the garage, but they had like this wire fence keeping it inside. The entire garage was its cage. In the middle of BFE, yeah. I have no idea what type of monkey it was. It was large and very angry. Was the monkey the customer? Did you give him the couch? Did someone eventually show up? Had they been eaten by the monkey? We need answers, man. No, it was the weirdest shit. The customer eventually just opens up the door and let us deliver it. They were there the entire time, but I guess they never heard us. Used to work for a concrete company, and our mixer trucks would sometimes damage property. Typically my partner and I did maintenance on the plants, but we'd get sent to job sites to unfuck whatever the drivers did. So while at one house we had to tear up the driveway, replace the culvert and re-pour the end of the driveway. The first day we were there, all the old Snoopy neighbors were standing around watching us, and I had to piss pretty bad. So I asked the homeowner if I could use his bathroom. He said sure, and led me through his house, past a bathroom, into the bathroom in the master bedroom. Already creeped out by that. Oh, also I noticed cameras all over the place. Some pointed out windows, some pointed into the rooms. Creep factor leveled up. So he leads me to the bathroom, opens the door and holds it for me, like you would at a store, when someone is behind you. I say thanks, he still stands there. I had to walk past him and yank the door closed. While leaving, I notice a bedroom decked out in kid stuff. This would normally not toss up any flags. Grandkids' room probably. Right? But with all the added creepiness, it just didn't seem normal at all. Told my partner, he laughed and pointed out there was probably cameras in the bathroom. If either of us had to piss after that, we drove down to the gas station. So he leads me to the bathroom, opens the door and holds it for me. Man, I had reread that 3 times, haha. I do construction sales, so I'm in homes a lot. For me, it's the sheer number of preppers that exist today. Walk into a suburban America basement and bam. 24 buckets full of survival food. Or ammo stuffed into every alcove and rafter. It's definitely not just the ones you expect, at least you know where to go if need be. I do odd jobs on the side. Oftentimes I help older people move. Recently we were moving a large dresser that the owner, an older gentleman, didn't bother to clean out, or tape up. His VHS porno collection came falling out. Who the hell keeps VHS porno these days? We know for a fact he had internet. Removed. I was a plumber going through college. While in training I went to an abandoned home that was being bought by a homeowner. They were trying to use their home warranty system. We entered the house to find that it had been used by squatters until a few weeks previous. The sink was literally overflowing with garbage and mold. The bathroom was also quite literally overflowing with shit. They didn't have any water but apparently kept taking dumps in the toilet, to the point where it was all over the floor around the toilet. The bathtub and the wall next to the bathtub was covered in mold and shit. Needles all over the place. We took one look at all of it and left. Other than that, I've seen all the stuff you'd normally expect. Hoarders, weed houses, hot moms who want their pipes fixed with a big wrench. But the squatter's house was the worst, and weirdest. Hot moms who want their pipes fixed with a big wrench. As a late teen, I was an assistant manager for a pizza delivery chain. One customer was a total tease who really enjoyed mind-fucking the delivery guys. She would show up at the door, open it wide, and have nothing but an unbuttoned flannel shit on. She would make sure to give each delivery guy a nip or crotch glimpse. One day she ends up with one of my drivers who thought he was a real player. This guy thought he could melt a woman with just his eyes. The driver tries to hit on her, strictly words, totally hands off. She goes fucking apeshit and tosses him out of the apartment. She immediately calls the store and demands to speak to me. She is threatening to call the city cops, whom we have a very tight relationship with. I tell her to call 911 if she thinks it's in her best interest, but she says, but what? I said, well, you are the biggest tease in the city, and I have drivers who fight over getting your order, knowing that you tip with a quick shot of your nipples or crotch. Do whatever you think is best, but my guess is that you got in a bit over your head while playing games tonight, eh? She screamed, go fuck yourself, and hung up. She remained a loyal customer, but her male partner started answering the door. I had to work in a government housing block at Main and Hastings in Vancouver. I was cutting a hole in a ceiling while someone was laying on a dirty mattress right beside the ladder injecting heroin. The person was so fucked up that he didn't even notice all the drywall dust I was spilling on him. I think it's stranger that you were okay working next to a guy shooting up. So this isn't weird, but it was the most shocking. I was working with adults with intellectual disabilities that lived in residential homes. It was one of my first weeks in the job and a coworker was taking me out to a home to show me what she did when she did home reviews. We get to the house, open the door, and here we are instantly hit with a wall of air smelling like feces. 2 steps in and it was apparently, there was diarrhea on a chair, on the carpet and random splotches all over. The whole house was in shambles. The fridge was full of moldy foods, and I'll never forget picking up the shredded cheese, shaking the bag, and seeing green mold flakes go up and down. Food was splattered all over the cabinets, the beds were stained with urine and feces, and expired canned food was found everywhere. The staff there had been neglecting those guys for a long time and no one had bothered to check up on them. That's revolting. How'd you guys end up handling the situation? I hope the staff got fired. We took photos of everything, completed the report, and my coworker and I started cleaning some of the house. We took a few large garbage bags full of rotten food and junk with us. We then deemed the home hazard and stated the guys living there couldn't return until clean. The guys got a 2-day hotel stay and the group home director brought in staff to clean the home from top to bottom. The staff and supervisor working in the home were all investigated. It's nearly impossible to get fired from a group home, so after the investigation they were written up and sent to another home. Eventually they all did other things which caused more write-ups, which got them all fired. Edit: for those who live with a group home in your neighborhood, I suggest becoming friends with the members in the household. Random stop beefs from neighbors often stop or help agency prevent or catch neglect. Homes that get no outside visitors have higher rates of abuse. As a maintenance guy at a large apartment complex, I've seen some shit. Naked people, really gross people, but thank God no dead people. I remember doing an emergency water repair and had to go into an occupied unit. It was the strangest thing. It was pretty much empty, dirty but empty, like no one lives there, no furniture. Not even a bed, just a shitty mattress on the floor. And some clothes scattered around. And at least 30 pairs of Nike shoes, all sorts of weird colors. Like this guy had no TV or couch but had a collection of expensive shoes. All the same size from what I could tell. I'd kid wasn't as bad as a few hoarder units we had. Yeah, this is a thing. I've known a few people who I'm sure live this way. Nothing to do, so they're always out in town, no apparent income, no hobbies. But they look fresh as hell every time they go out. Doesn't seem like something I'd want to do, but I guess there are worse things to do with your time than dressing nice and having social interactions. Some people live with the mantra of very few people see where you live. A few more know what you drive, but every one of your friends see how you dress and spend their money accordingly. When I did pest control, I had a house I serviced where 3 strippers lived. They had poles all over the place and so much glitter everywhere. But they always hooked me up with some really good coffee that one of them got sent from back home. Aside from that, I found a body once. That probably wins for shit I wasn't expecting. I was an exterminator for 15 years, and have seen some truly horrible things. Most people just need to clean up their homes, some just needed to fill up gaps in doors and foundations. Did you find the body because of a report of an unpleasant smell? I've had to play find the stinky many times. Usually a dead mouse. No, it was a follow-up on a bedbug job. One of the low-income places we did a ton of work at, so they would just give us the keys at the office and let us do our thing. I stayed in the industry until our company got a new GM and they tried to assign me an area 4 hours away from home. Definitely got a few horror stories out of it though. I worked for Pizza Hut many years ago. I had to deliver to a house that was as normal as can be on the outside. I knocked on the door and a guy wearing only silk boxers answered. He was slightly overweight but looked like he was smuggling a fucking baseball bat in his boxers. He was casual as hell and asked me to step inside for a second as he had to get his wallet. I take one step inside and this extremely hot lady came around the corner. She was obviously not wearing a bra and her robe was barely closed. One of her steps flapped open her robe enough to know that she shaved her down below. I looked behind her and you could see a video camera set up on a tripod, so it was obvious what they were doing. The guy hands me the money with a good sized tip, no pun intended, and tells me that he appreciated me bringing the food. I said no problem, have fun doing what you're doing, and if you need a cameraman, let me know. I don't even remember thinking the last part until it was coming out of my mouth. He just kind of laughed and said maybe next time, my dude. The girl just laughed a little and I left. Damn, the bad luck. Honestly, I don't know what I would have done if they said, yeah, let's do this. Nice. I worked as a delivery driver for a Deliver Anything company in the early 2000s. At the time it was a very novel, but ultimately unsustainable, idea for a business back then. We had a lot of regular weirdos. One night one of these weirdos ordered about $30 worth of candles from the dollar store. This job really brought to the forefront the disconnects that exist in us as consumers. So of course initially I had gotten the wrong kind of candles for the weirdo. He showed me what he wanted at his apartment door. Luckily the store was literally a couple blocks away, so I didn't have to waste much time because I wasn't being paid hourly. Come in was what I was greeted with when I returned, which is never something I'm particularly happy about as a delivery person. I see what my rational brain tells me is a pile of laundry on a coffee table in front of a filthy couch. But it's not that. It's a 3-foot-tall wax pile. I had bought candles in jars the first time, and I could definitely see why those would not work for our gentleman. He needed freestanding candles so he could just plop one down and light it to continue building his wax mountain, which was starting to spill onto the floor. A less weird but more awkward experience I had with this man was him literally falling asleep mid-signature for his Burger King. Someone please help me budget my family's starving food, $100 bills, $500 candles, $3,000. Service plumber here. At the house of an elderly lady, at least 75 years old, and there's naked pictures of her on all the walls and several dildos all about. It was interesting. This is amazing, smiley face. Was she younger in the photos, or older? I really hope she was older. If I recall correctly, it was a mix. The two I remember the most is one of her in a hot springs with some friends, and then one of her and, maybe the same, friends jumping into a lake. All nude. In those she was maybe in her 60s. She was fairly fit for her age. This one time I was selling Chicago pizzas for a fundraiser and I had to go around town to people's houses. I had to use the restroom, so I went to a house and politely asked to use the restroom. A normal looking lady opened the front door and let me in. She brought me to the bathroom and I was immediately greeted by a dragon dildo stuck to the toilet seat, a few butt plugs and anal beads in a basket on top of the toilet, and what I thought was a pool noodle bug turned out to be a double-sided dildo. I got done and got the hell out of there. Cleaning a huge condo for a wealthy book publisher, the owner felt that cats were sacred, so they had suspended walkways through the entire 6K square foot condo for the two cats to walk on, so they could move through every room without having to touch the floor. Additionally, every 12 feet or so in each room, they had a cat balcony the cats could sit on made out of real crystal. We weren't allowed to touch them as they were valued at $10,000 apiece. I know someone who did something like this, but not to that extreme. They were building their dream house, which included underfloor ducts and vents for the AC system. Since they were going to be doing that already, they had the builder install a completely separate set of ducts and vents just for the cats, so they could move from room to room and inside/outside as they pleased. Apparently the cats had a habit of falling asleep in hidden areas of rooms, waking up to find the door closed, then whining till someone let them out. This solved that issue, though I will say it was kind of disconcerting to be in a room where you knew there were no cats, only to have one suddenly pop up out of the floor to say hi. Including in the bathroom. It's all fun and games until a cat pukes deep within the duct system. Deleted. Did you report them to Child and Animal Protection Services? Deleted. Deleted. My husband is a drain cleaning technician and the best thing is to have a tub of Vicks for situations like that. Rub it under your nose and inside a disposable face mask. Pretty effective at killing most smells. That sounds like a good idea. Light bulb, aside from this situation though, in a weird way were used to the smell. Is this something your husband did when he first started or still does? I don't know if I could really peg one thing as the weirdest, but collectively it sure as hell was. The entire main floor had drains in every room, because they thought it would be easier to hose their house down to clean it. The bathroom had a shower that you had to hold a button on the down for water to come out. There was no ensuite, instead the master bedroom had the tub and toilet right in it, with the toilet facing the bed. The tub was a massive jacuzzi but with a kitchen tap for a faucet so it couldn't fill up quickly enough to stay warm. Oh, and the house was filled with naked picture of the homeowner. A plane. Dude was refurbishing a light aircraft in his lounge. It was only the fuselage, the wings were outside. That's certainly the weirdest. Here's an actually not that impressive picture. https://postimg.cc/w749mxvs. That's actually rad. But weird he did it in his lounge instead of outside under a tent or in a garage or something. People are weird. I'm a gearhead and have had multiple motorcycles in various apartments to work on them. Didn't have a garage, but I loved tinkering from my couch. I was an estate agent, realtor, for rental properties, and I had a few wild moments. Top 2 were when I had been okayed by a member of a male couple to let myself in for a flat viewing one Saturday morning, but he must have forgotten to tell his boyfriend/husband, because when I opened the door to the bedroom with my MF middle-aged couple, we found one of the tenants having a vigorous affair against the wall without a stitch on them and only 5 feet away. Still no idea how we didn't hear them before we opened the door. The other one was similar, but I was there to take photos and the tenant, an elderly and overweight woman, forgot I was coming, so guess I found in the bath. Did you at least let the MF couple know that the gay gentlemen who were fucking did not, in fact, come with the apartment? That they have to pay extra for that particular amenity? Husband and wife both sitting in the same room with 2 TVs on. One for each. I used to be a house painter. One weekend was working, with my female partner, at a house for a woman and her toddler daughter. The daughter was chatty and cute, mostly sat on the couch watching TV but would talk to us while we worked. I was on my knees painting some trim with my back to the daughter when she said, "Look at me." I turned around and saw her on the couch wrapped in a blanket. She opened the blanket and said, "I'm naked." I immediately turned back around and said loudly, "I don't need to see that." From the other room, her mom yelled out, "Is she taking her clothes off again?" At the end of the day, we were laughing about it with the mother, and I said she's going to be really popular when she gets older. Luckily, she took it well. My youngest sister used to stand in a huge window naked. Luckily it was the late 80s/early 90s in a German village and the window didn't face the street directly. She is 32 now and as far as I know she doesn't do that anymore. When my son was potty training, he would often walk around pantsless, to help prevent accidents and save me money on laundry. We live in a garden-level apartment and his favorite thing to do, used to be, to stand in the living room window, junk hanging in the breeze, and wave at people. I would try to stop him, but couldn't always get there soon enough. I felt really bad for my neighbors because the area I live in is mostly populated by traditional Muslim families. Many women in my complex wear burqas, and I was sure that they were wondering what was wrong with the parents of the half-naked heathen kid. I had a neighbor who offered me money to clean her apartment. She had mental health issues and got some kind of subsidy from the county for home assistance, which she didn't like, but she had an inspection coming up for continuing her other benefits. So, I walked in and there were dishes everywhere. Glasses with dried stuff in the bottom. Pizza boxes that smelled of old cheese in stacks. Ashtrays piled so high they were pyramids of butts. Beer cans and bottles scattered. Went into the kitchen and both sinks are piled up past the faucet. One side has water in it that's covered in a white film. The kitchen trash can had overflowed to the floor and has flies buzzing around it. Gross, but I needed the money, so I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. After I got the dishes under control, I moved on to the stove/oven. When I opened the door, the enche bottom of the oven was crawling with maggots. The wave of smell was enough to about knock me on my ass and I ran out gagging. Went home, got a mask, went back and finished cleaning up. I still cannot figure out what she did to that oven. There was no food inside and looked like it had never been used. How much for? I was on a ride along with the fire department. We responded to smell of smoke in an apartment building. We found the apartment fast enough because the fire alarm was going off inside. We walk in to find this guy naked as the day he was born, passed out on the floor in front of the TV with porn on way louder than it should be, in the remnants of the pizza in the oven. In my last job I've known several people that get back from the bar and decide to cook in their extended stay kitchenettes only to pass out and set off the smoke alarm and have the hotel evacuated at 3 in the morning. I'm going with good old-fashioned /drunk. That reminds me of my freshman year in college when I lived in a dorm. The smoke alarm went off in the middle of the night once because some guy 2 floors above me got high and put a pizza in the kitchenette oven, then forgot about the pizza. In the bathroom. Thought I saw a giant pink dildo. Closer look revealed it was penis-shaped soap. When you need to be clean, inside and out. Which is how you get an infected cooter. There, internally, self-cleaning. Checking fire alarms / testing emergency bedside buttons in a nursing home that are like individual little apartments. Opened the door to stench of death and sure enough lady dead on the bed, been there about 2 days. So I wasn't expecting so many responses, but to answer some questions. Yes, the bedside button worked fine. No, nobody was in trouble for her not being found for 2 days. This specific place is very independent. They have their own cars and are free to come and go as they please, and the only time someone comes by is for any sort of maintenance or if they have visitors stop by. That is so sad. Did you require any form of counseling afterwards? No, it happened at my second job. I'm a career firefighter most days, so I'm used to seeing / dealing with these situations.